We left the opium den and pub to head towards their local college, specifically the medical school rooms. It seemed to be the best place to find the body parts required for constructing a form for Zalgo. Since the specimens were once criminals, it seemed convenient for their goal. Most of them had done petty offenses. You rarely encounter a true fallen monster that resided in human skin, those who had raped and murdered in cold blood. The lab within the cavernous college was dimly lit by the full moon. The moonlight brought an eerie glow to the equipment of test tubes and trays of cutting tools upon the tables. Sheet-covered corpses laid upon shelves stationed against the walls. The air had a repugnant stench to it, which smelled of decomposition, blood, and formaldehyde. Well, well, I knew the four of you will show up here. Do the caves fare you well, little crows? An effeminate male's voice spoke from a dark corner of the room. I scowled in his direction, as it was a voice that belonged to Moriel, one of the Wind Angels. "What do you want, prissy boy?" Wyatt said, annoyed by his presence. The angel stepped out into the moonlight to reveal his lanky and pale splendor. His face was thin with delicate features, framed by long, platinum blonde hair. Glowing ice-blue eyes twinkled with mischief, which peered at us. From afar, he wouldn't have been mistaken for a woman, but his anatomy was very masculine. Moriel appeared to be feeble and harmless, but is not to be taken lightly, given to his mercurial and troublesome nature, as our past encounters were nothing but poisonous on the social level. "Why, to see if your squires are ready for the war that is to ensue, of course," Moriel answered with a feigned innocence. "Your supervision is not necessary, sir," I said curtly. "We can handle it just fine, Maury Bell," Peter taunted. "Don't call me that!" Moriel said sharply. "Show some professionalism, Peter," Victor said firmly. "At least the girl has more manners than you," Moriel said indignantly. "You leave her alone, you pervert," Peter said firmly. "I can handle the situation well, Peter. It is fine," I assured him, then turned my attention to Moriel. "You can pretend to be sociable as you like, Moriel, so please cease this little charade and tell us of your intent. Patience is wearing thin." The pale angel chuckled while pushing my hair aside with a penetrating stare and cups my cheek. My scowl had become more tense by this interplay, as he wishes to use his charms on me as a distraction. It is simply an insult to my sex and intelligence. "You are ever so blunt, little Hope. It is such a pity that you serve Hades and not Jove. You would have made a fine lover," he said with mock disappointment in his tone. "Yes, a blessing in disguise," I muttered, grasping his hand firmly and twisting his wrist. He squirmed as I had placed pressure between his phalanges. "Don't touch me," I hissed, and shoved him against a table. "Now that was harsh," Peter exclaimed. "I will never cross you like that." "You have some sense," I commented to him. "Good luck courting her, boy," Wyatt said with hearty laughter. "She was brutal with me," Moriel complained, nursing his wrist. "Aren't you going to punish her?" "9. You were foolish to attempt a seduction. She's on par with us, and it will fare you well to keep that in mind," Victor said curtly. "Know your place, pansy pigeon. Let us cut out the song and dance. You have 10 seconds before I clone you asunder," Wyatt said sternly. "You will not dare," Moriel exclaimed. "The cowboy dares and does not bluff," Victor warned. 10, 9, he said slowly, grasping the scythe upon his back. "Oh, let me help," I said eagerly, placing my hands upon my sickles. Moriel shuddered in fright. "Come on, you are surely not going to do it." 8, 7, he said, a wicked grin emerging while drawing the weapon. "I want a piece of him too," Peter said, grasping his sickles as well. Moriel's eyes widened while holding his hand, saying, "Can't we talk about this over cake?" 6, 5, Moriel counted. Victor chuckled wickedly while preparing his scythe as well. "Okay, I will tell you!" Moriel screamed. "You ruined our fun," Wyatt said slowly while grasping his weapon. I will tell you everything. We are tired of serving the stupid gods. Humanity needs to be taught a lesson in humility, so we are assisting the Order of the Golden Dawn, he confessed with venom in his tone. They are going to find you out, Wyatt objected. Do you think it will not go unnoticed, Doomkov? Victor inquired. No. You have something planned for that moment, don't you? I said. Who, me? Muriel said, attempting to feign innocence once more. Liar, I said flatly. Ruin my fun, why don't you, harpy? He said while shaking his head. And you claim to be polite and civil. Such a shame that you resort to name-calling, I said, shaking my head. Gotcha, Moribel, Peter chimed. The men began to laugh heartily. I will not be talked down to by a woman, Muriel shouted. You just did so, I said flatly. He raised his hand with the intent of striking my face until he had been intercepted by a baritone voice which said, That is enough. A tall, burly man of an angel with gray wings steps into the moonlight, dressed in blue and white with the same pale features of Muriel. Raziel, I was just... Muriel stammered and was caught off by the angry angel. Silence your cowardice, he said sternly, then faced our group. All of you know too much already. We are surprised that part of the prophecy is being fulfilled. Could you tell us more about this prophecy? Wyatt asked. That repentant sinners will be teaming against us, those who grasp vice and virtue in their hands. Raziel replied, then proceeded to point at each of us in a roll call. He pointed towards Wyatt and said, A renegade bandit with the virtue of charity. His finger pointed to Victor and said, A healer with kindness and cruelty. The finger pointed to Peter and said, A thief with the virtue of love and temperance. And his finger pointed to myself and said, A rebel with a worthy cause that has humility and courage. Yes, they are a pack of misfits to be exterminated, Muriel said bitterly. Oh, but other groups of the past were not misfits as well. Do not dismiss them so easily. Raziel objected and patted his head. You always know what is best, Raziel, sir, Muriel said. But we cannot have you stopping us, Raziel said firmly. We took the statement as a threat by drawing our weapons, preparing for a fight. Before a battle could ensue, a tap could be felt upon my scalp, as the others seemed to have black tentacle appendages tap their heads as well from above us. My eyes blinked for a moment, then opened them to see that the background changed from the medical lab to a grand parlor. We looked about in confusion and astonishment, then heard the deep voice in my mind begin to speak. I could not let them hurt any of you, since we have an alliance, after all. I faced the faceless, spindly being who stood by the roaring fire of an obsidian hearth. Danke, I murmured. Yes, thank you so much, sir. Mighty kind of you. Wyatt said and tipped his hat to our ally. Please sit while I prepare a bedroom for each of you, Slenderman said while exiting the room. The others were seated upon chairs of a round table as I sat upon a purple velvet sofa, while stunned, taking in the recent information. The Upper Angels were constructing a mutiny? How long has this conspiracy existed? So many questions raced through my mind while Peter pulled me into a comforting hug after sitting next to me. You are quiet and overthinking again, right? He inquired with concern. I could only nod my head in response. You should not worry so much, remember? You have us, he said, stroking my back in order to console me. Resting my head on his chest, I murmured, Not really used to it since I have been independent for so long. Though it does not mean I will not welcome it. He chuckled softly and said with affection in his tone, You have no idea how lovely you look while you are determined. Your eyes sparkle while facing an obstacle. It's the spark I wish I had in life. You inspire me to be brave, but you think you are alone. So have I, and meeting you has given me a vigor that I never thought possible. I blushed deeply after hearing these words and could only muster this phrase. I inspire you? Yes, you do, he said. Then I will not let you down, I said with confidence. I will not let you down either, but you do more than inspire. You drive me mad, he said while releasing more chuckles. So do you, I said, joining the laughter. We are even, but not entirely, yet, he said. Oh? I asked. I felt his hand lift my chin to face him, and he said softly, This is for kissing my forehead, you little vixen. His lips met mine in a gentle manner. It felt so loving and warm while I returned the kiss, holding him closer to myself. He pulled away from me to say, Now it is fair and square. I love you, Hope. Never forget that either. I'll remember this moment forever and promise. I love you, Peter. You can harass me anytime, I said. Are you sure about that? He teased. I will attack you with feathers instead of rocks, I said, chuckling. Fine with me, he agreed. We were escorted to separate bedrooms by Slenderman and left to sleep in his pocket-dimensional mansion for the night, though I could not help but detect hidden jealousy from the faceless creature and can only feel a tinge of guilt from myself. Venus will be having a long discussion from me after this war is over. Oh, pink ribbons will fly after it is concluded.